Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595-953. And I want to thank our sponsor, Second Amendment Arms and Range, located in New Carlisle, Indiana. 10 dedicated shooting lanes, rifle and pistol. And, of course, if you mention me, you get half off your range time, which means you get to shoot for twice as long. It's twice the fun, man, for the same price. How cool is that? Go to secondamendmentarms.net. for more information. All right, got Jeff Peterman with me. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up? I'm great, man.
So Jeff Peterman this is a PAC, right? Officially the PAC, Best for Elkhart. And this is all because of the Elkhart Community Schools property tax hike.
That is correct.
Yeah, this is a fun one. 341% increase over the previous referendum. Is that correct?
Yeah, the last one was 14 cents per $100 assessed property value. This one is 58.
So what's this going to cost the average homeowner in Elkhart?
Well, it depends. It's going to cost not just the average homeowner, but also renters. But it depends on the value of your home.
Renters don't have to pay that tax.
Oh, of course not. Yeah, the landlords won't pass that on. Absolutely not. So it depends. You know, if you have like $100,000 home, it's something like $200 or $300 a year, going all the way up to $200,000, $225,000. Our house, we're looking at about $750 extra a year right now.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh, a lot of fun. Yeah. Especially, if you're on a fixed income. I've heard from so many elderly folks who are like, we just can't keep doing this. Like, there's people who lose their houses over property taxes.
Let me tell you a little story about what just happened to me here, because I'm staying at a friend's house in Elkhart right now. I just left Niles, Michigan. Now, we were staying in Niles, Michigan only because of my daughter's school. My daughter got accepted to an elite school. That was the only reason that we were going to stay in Niles, Michigan. Everybody knows that Michigan's insurance rates are through the roof, right? The insurance is making it almost impossible for us to stay on the Michigan side of the border. So we flip back. Yesterday, I called my insurance company. I tell them I have an Indiana address. It went from $400 to $250. Wow. Same coverage, same vehicles. And so I looked at my wife and I'm like, wow, this makes things a lot easier. So I'm hearing from the same people that you're hearing from who are saying, we're just going to move out of Elkhart now because we can just go over here. They already have better schools over here. Really, in any direction you go outside of Elkhart Community Schools, they're better schools, right? Except for what, Joe? Well, except for South Bend. But I'm talking like in the immediate area. Any direction you go outside of Elkhart Community Schools are better schools. So you just move a little bit. You're still basically in the same community. You've got better schools. Now you don't have to pay the tax. Yeah. So are you hearing that a lot of people are looking at doing that as well?
Not just individuals and families, but also businesses. I've talked to several businesses who are in growth mode and saying, we're in Elkhart. We'd love to grow in Elkhart, but not like this.
I've heard that there was a possibility that one of the businesses that was going into downtown is now rethinking that investment because of this tax.
Yeah, I've heard of at least one downtown, and I've heard of 2 or 3 others also that are in Elkhart Community Schools area.
Okay. So what do you want people to know about this tax and the referendum? Who can vote on it? Absolutely. When will they vote on it? And any additional information you have that maybe the public doesn't know.
Absolutely. So first of all, this is not a referendum about whether you care for teachers or you don't care for teachers, even though that's how they definitely want to paint it. This is a referendum because the admin and the school board and the superintendent have not prioritized teachers and teacher pay. They've spent things like $6 million on an aquatic center. They have 17 more administrators than Penn that make $100,000 or more. There's $1.7 million a year that they could actually be spending towards teachers that they've decided not to. So this is for everybody in Elkhart Community Schools District. So it's not just for people who are downtown. If you're going to vote for like the Democrat primary, you can certainly vote on the referendum, but you don't have to be eligible to vote for that Democrat primary to vote for the referendum. You can ask for a referendum-only ballot.
Now, this has been this is something that people have been bringing up to me. They're like, they're not telling everybody that they can go vote on this thing. So if you're going to be going, if you wouldn't qualify to vote for the Democratic primary, those people are staying home, but they can actually still go and vote on this referendum. So there's no reason for you to stay home now. You do have something you can go vote on. Absolutely,
and it's something that directly affects your pocketbook if you're in Elkhart Community Schools. Early voting starts on April 9th, so there's plenty of time to get out there and cast your vote and make sure this doesn't go through.
And we were talking about this when we first announced it, and Joe brought it up too when we were talking before the segment started. This is the perfect time to put this in there because nobody's voting almost nobody's going to show up and vote. So then what you do is you get the teachers union and the elite class, if you will, who won't suffer, when they pay, $1,000 or so more for their home. They would go in there and they'll just go ahead and pass this thing. The average people on fixed income, they're going to suffer quite a bit. I've had a lot of people very, very concerned about this. Multiple people have told me that they're not married to their address and they can easily just go right across the street. The big business downtown that I've heard about, I won't say who they are because it's not finalized yet and everything else, but they were really concerned about this, that they kind of put the brakes on all of their downtown investments. And that was going to be a big deal for downtown Elkhart, which, of course, there's a huge effort to revitalize downtown Elkhart, and there's been some success there. But if you've got a big company who's going to invest millions of dollars in that, and they go, time out, hold on a second, there's a couple of other places right next door that could use our cash in our business as well. I mean, that's a huge concern.
Absolutely. When it comes to businesses, it's definitely a concern. I've talked to a dozen landlords who have all said that this will be passed on directly to the renters. So some people who are renting right now could see their rent go up $75, $100 a month, which is a big deal.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. How many people look for like $950 versus $1,000? Exactly. Now all of a sudden your $950 rent becomes $1,000. You're like,
Absolutely.
Oh, well, darn, I'm in that same boat again. But here's the thing. This is not where they're stopping. We already know that they have at least one referendum plan for right after this to fund the merger, right? Because we got the school merger thing happening. And they want the taxpayers to pay for that, which seems like it would not be necessary because the whole point of the merger was to save money, was it not?
Well, especially considering they said that it definitely would never end up with a referendum for the merger. It was
yeah. But
that never happened.
But why do they have a draft of it?
Exactly.
So if you're never planning on doing a referendum, if the whole point was to merge to save money, why do you have a draft for a referendum to make everybody pay for the merger to begin with? Because people probably would have just said, well, then don't merge. This is silly. But then there's a couple of others that are kind of in the pipeline as well that they're looking at doing. So then we made the mention because Concord keeps going after money, right? So Concord, Goshen keeps going after money. They're all going to see this happen. You're going to have referendums in those areas too. And ultimately, what we end up with is pretty much the same quality educational system that now is taxing you a heck of a lot more, but still turning out the same results because we know for a fact throwing money at a problem in the school system doesn't fix it.
It does not fix it. And if it did fix it, it would have fixed it because we've done this. Back in 14, I think it was, with the Yes for Elkhart referendum went through for the safety of the students.
Right.
Well, now we know that that's not 100% where the money went to. And
shocked.
If you look at this referendum here, the way that it's worded, this money doesn't even have to go, the way that it's worded, towards teacher salaries and teacher benefits. So who's to say that the teachers are even going to get this money? If you look at the past, what they say they're going to do isn't what they do.
So there's no guarantee in the language of the referendum that the teachers are going to get a pay hike.
Correct.
So if you're a teacher out there and you work in the Elkhart Community Schools, obviously you want more pay. I understand that. Everybody wants more pay. But you have no guarantee that you're going to get it. So I guess the real question is, as your union is whipping you up and some members of the school board are whipping you up on this, would you hold them accountable if in a year your salary didn't jump up if this thing were to pass? And I mean significantly, because if it doesn't jump up significantly, then really you kind of got hosed, right? Isn't that kind of the point?
Not to mention that these teachers, a lot of them own property in Elkhart Community Schools, and guess what's going to happen to their property taxes too?
So what if their pay goes up $500, but their property taxes goes up $800?
Well,
congratulations,
amen.
You just played yourself.
I actually have one person who came to me who said that they talked to the superintendent, and the superintendent said, well, that's kind of a wash then for you, right? That's the mindset of the administrators of Elkhart Community Schools.
Which superintendent is that?
That would be Dr. Thalheimer, the new guy who took over for Hayworth. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. All right. We got more coming up. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host. Of course, the song is called Cells, which is exactly what we do to your children when we throw them into school in the Elkhart Community School District. So this is... Sorry, I had to. I was looking for a transition. I got Jeff Peterman with Best for Elkhart here. The website is bestforelkhart.com. You're also on Facebook, and so if people want to... You said you answer every question.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So who's behind the push for this referendum to raise the property taxes for Elkhart Community Schools?
So this goes straight to the school board. Interestingly enough, I believe two of them are new. Both of them said no more referendums ever. That's how they ran to get on the school board.
One member, their daughter's running for mayor.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Babette Bowling's daughter.
Yeah.
Actually, I hate to even mention the name, but
Yeah, that's an interesting.
it is
Could
interesting.
be an interesting relationship with all of this. Yeah.
Well, and one of them, Rocky Enfield, he actually came out, and his one of his main drums that he was beating was no more referendums. And then when this is announced, he's in the Elkhart Truth with a quote about how much he thinks it's needed and how great it is.
So why are they pushing for such a dollar amount? I mean, this is a huge increase. Again, we're talking about a 341% increase over the last referendum. This is big, and this is going to hurt people in the pocketbooks. We already know the businesses are now pumping the brakes, saying we're not sure that we're going to go there. When you talk to members of the school board, I had one in here, an unrelated event the other day. She was basically saying, well, we have to have a good educational system or businesses won't come here. But the reality is we're seeing the opposite. We're seeing businesses pause because of this hike. And we also know that, again, throwing money at a school system that's failing is not going to make it better. I mean, D.C. and L.A., I think, are prime examples of that because of the money that they have spent, and their systems are still terrible. There's other factors that have to be brought in. You brought up a couple of them. Really top-heavy administration. So a lot of people are getting paid a lot of money at the top, not passing that on to teachers. Probably have too many people in those posts. But why the dollar amount? Why are they looking for so much money?
Well, last year they gave $6 million to the aquatic center. So obviously they've had lots of...
But the teachers can swim in that, right? So that's a perk?
Well, I believe they have to pay still. Originally, it was kind of sold to us as it was going to be, I believe, free for students and their families. But now it's still the same amount of money for everybody. So
interesting.
But apparently I've been told that kids can't get a good education without having a swimming pool so they can swim. And I don't really see the correlation, but I'm not an educator. So.
Well, I mean, athletics, I guess. I don't know. It seems to me like if you're going to spend $6 million on an aquatic center instead of raising teacher pay, you'd at least let the teachers in for free. Would seem to be the case.
Yeah.
But so they say that they need this money to do specifically what? Since they're not guaranteeing pay raises for teachers, what exactly are they hoping to do with it?
Well, what they're talking about doing with it is the teacher pay raises. It's providing a better benefits package, and they are listing all of the local school districts and showing where Elkhart falls when it comes to new teachers coming on. The issue with that is that I think they're third from the bottom, but like a couple $100 separates most of them until you get to Penn. But again, Penn has 10 administrators making $100,000 as opposed to 27. So if you break that down, we would probably be first or second, I would think. So
of course, Penn is Penn's a model. It's a model for not just Indiana. It's a model for a lot of places. They want their school districts to look like Penn. But when you look at the school systems in Michiana, the two bad ones that come up are South Bend and Elkhart. Everybody else seems relatively happy with their school system on both the Michigan and Indiana side of the border.
Yeah.
So
well, and you mentioned the amount of this and why so much. If you look at local referendums that have happened here in the last several years, I think Goshen's was 26 or 28 cents.
Yeah.
And that was a huge deal. So to come with
failed once
cents,
and then they did it again.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other problem. Because of the property tax caps and the fact that Indianapolis won't put any limits on this, they can come back every year if they wanted to.
And they keep doing it.
And they do.
Now, I got a text message that says, Casey, is this just for Elkhart Community Schools and not Goshen, right? We just got hit in the last election for a hike for schools in Goshen. So this is just Elkhart Community Schools.
Correct.
But people who normally would not be voting in this election can vote for this referendum.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to vote in the Democratic primary. Why would I, I don't need to vote. But yeah, you can still vote in this referendum. You just get a referendum ballot.
Absolutely.
You walk in. So what else are we missing on this thing?
Man, just the simple fact that that it's already been talked about that there's more coming. I know we hit that once, but this is, I don't know of a time where government carves out a path to get more money and then they make sure that's closed afterwards. This channel was opened with the Yes for Elkhart referendum, right. And now we see that they've developed a nice worn path there, and it's going to happen again and again unless we force them to live underneath some type of limitations. When a business hits rough times, they have to make cuts. But when apparently a school district does, they just take more money from the property owners.
Do we have any statistics on how much money from the Yes for Elkhart thing got diverted away from what it was supposed to go to?
I will tell you one instance. I don't know if you've seen the electronic signs over there, but they came in magically $1 million under budget on the roofs. That was part of the referendum.
Okay.
And then that money wasn't set aside for when something might come up that they would need to spend on. It was spent on things like electronic signs, which clearly is a necessity so people can see what's going on.
I just had an ad on Instagram for customized LED signs, though. It was pretty reasonable. It was like $400 to get Hendricks and Horde done.
I think these were like $5,000 or $10,000 a piece. I don't 100% have that number, but it's somewhere in there. Even if it was $1,000,
It's
How much did
egregious.
Elkhart Community Schools spend on repairing when it flooded a couple years ago? Money that could have been used for that.
There's also, you know what? There is an office downtown Elkhart that they went into a lease for $23,000 a month that they aren't using. It was going to be to move the admin building, and then they were going to have the admin building be another building for one of the programs that they were doing. They never moved into it, and now they've been told that they can't. So they're spending $500,000 over the next 23 months paying for this office space that isn't even going to be used. So those are the types of expenses that are coming to the forefront that people are saying, are you kidding me?
But see, if people know about this, it's kind of like when we do the weird scientific research, like, oh, hey, by the way, you spent a couple $100,000 on Robo Squirrel fighting snakes, and people go, what? Yeah, that's money that can be used for roads. It's money that can be used for upgrades to what they say that they need upgrades for, teachers' bonuses, maybe do an incentivized program. That way you don't have to guarantee everybody gets paid, and the teachers who perform really well, they get a bonus at the end of the year. So they get a nice. Well, you can even do it quarterly. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me as long as they're good teachers. Give them the extra incentive to do well. And then the ones who consistently don't perform well, you get rid of them.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't that hard.
Well, and there are other ways to make money for your school district. I look at Penn and what they're doing with their football field and getting their name sponsored. Teachers Credit Union sponsored the Penn field. Why aren't we doing something like that in Elkhart Community Schools?
ASDknives.com desks.
Love it.
Every desk, you have a different picture of one of my knives right there on the desk. The kid can just go ahead and scribble on it, put their chewing gum on it. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. When they're 18, come by me. See? This capitalism.
It seems so easy, doesn't it?
They are good knives.
Yeah, capitalism.
Very
That's just how it
good
works.
customer service, too.
All right, so how do they get a hold of you, Jeff?
They can go to bestforelkhart.com and they can actually fill out an email right there, and I'll get back to them. They can also go to our Facebook page. We're 800 strong on there and growing big every single day. And there's lots of good conversation going on there. And we're not just wanting people who are against the referendum to come on the Facebook page and on the website. If you're for this referendum, come on, shut off the confirmation bias for a couple of minutes and come in and see what's actually happening. If you really can look at all this stuff that is sourced and that is factual and say, nope, I'm still for it, there's not much I can do for you.
There's a lot of people who are just yes people when it comes to school funding because they just want more money because they care about kids. Their heart's in the right place. Their mind's not, but their heart's in the right place. And they don't realize that there's millions of dollars being squandered and wasted that could already pay for the things that they want to pay for. They've just got to get good with accounting and deal with it.
Absolutely.
All right. Jeff Peterman, we appreciate it. Again,
Hey, thanks, Casey.
The website, if you hop online, bestforelkhart.com. You can also go to their Facebook page. It says he answers every question on there. Again, bestforelkhart.com. And don't forget, even if you're not going to be voting in the Democratic primary, early voting starts April 9th in Elkhart. You will be able to vote on this referendum. So just get a referendum ballot. We got more coming up on 95.3 MNC. MNC News Time, 4:32. Time to check out Masters Heating and Air Conditioning online at mastersheatcool.com. Masters gets there faster.